interesting story, Ephraim, that came out today. It kind of contradicts some of the reporting before, which said LeBron James wanted Darvin Ham. Now, you know, Terry Stotts, Kenny Atkinson, and Darvin Ham are the finalists reportedly for their head coaching job. And like I said, the reports are that LeBron wants Darvin Ham, who was an assistant with the Lakers for a few years. But the report today said that LeBron is not that high on Darvin and actually wants Doc. If he had his druthers, he would get Doc Rivers. So I don't, you know, obviously it's hard to tell which reporting is accurate. But what are your, look, I think, I'm sorry. Doc Rivers, if I'm the Lakers, I'm not interested in Doc. I mean, Doc has done fine. He's had a nice coaching career. Obviously won a championship, and that was a great run in 2008 with that team. First year together, so you got to give Doc credit for that with Garnett, Ray Allen, and Paul Pierce. But I think since then, he hasn't proven to be a difference-making coach. To the shock of me, and I think many, if they really just look at it, when he went to the Clippers, Vinny Del Negro was getting them to the second round and winning 50-some-odd games. And they brought in Doc. Chris Paul went to bat for him so that they would win a championship or at least get close. They never got past the second round. There were years where injuries were an issue, but for 7 years, they didn't get past the second round. And then he goes to Philly. Brett Brown was getting them to the second round. And Doc was brought in to take them further. 2 years now. Last year they lost to an Atlanta team that was, come on, one guy, Trae Young. And then this year, injuries were a factor, but they lost to Miami. And so he has yet to get them past the second round any further than his predecessor. So if I'm the Lakers, I don't get the fantasy, infatuation with Doc. I think Darvin Ham's the guy. I think he's a hot young assistant, former player, strong presence, been on on championship benches, most recently with Milwaukee and Mike Budenholzer. A lot of the hot young assistants, Willie Green, Monty Williams, or head coaches, I should say, Willie Green, Monty Williams, Ime Udoka. I could go on and on. Ty Lue. They were former players, role players like Darvin, who learned as assistants first. And that doesn't mean he's going to be successful, but I think there's a lot going for him. So I would go with Darvin over Doc or any of the other guys. That's my view.
Okay, well, number one, Doc has a job.
Well, right. Which is, this is crazy. Right. So people are acting like he don't have a job.
The fact that that's even a possibility makes zero sense. Like, I mean, this man he's employed. So we, number one, take that off the table. We're sitting up here talking about, that's just like if I was saying, man, Kevin Durant really wants Steph Curry in Brooklyn. Like he really wants Steph Curry in Brooklyn. It doesn't matter.
He's not going anywhere.
He's not going anywhere.
Right.
Right? Now, are we going to see the 76ers trade Doc Rivers to the Lakers? That's highly unlikely.
There are those that think that when Daryl Morey, the GM, came out and said Doc's our coach next year, that part of it at least was because he wanted to up the price. If the Lakers want him, you're going to have to give up something for him, a draft pick, something. And that makes it even worse. I wouldn't want him, period. But I definitely ain't giving up nothing to get him.
That's not going to happen. When does the Lakers have a first-round draft pick?
2027. And they won't give it up to trade Westbrook.
No, right. So let's just curtail that. And in terms of the candidates that are available, I mean, nobody stands out to where I'm like, ooh, yeah, let's do that. That makes sense. And LeBron, I think the Lakers are at the point now of trying to do what's best for the organization and not what's the best for LeBron.
Right.
And we saw a little bit of that at the trading deadline. When, LeBron, everybody wanted Westbrook out and wanted him gone and bring somebody else in. Right. And Jenny Buss came on and said, hey, look, this is the team you wanted. Figure it out. We did what you guys wanted to do. Figure it out. I'm not coming in and rescuing you. And they couldn't figure it out. They couldn't. And so I think they're at the point now. LeBron has one more year left on his contract.
And doesn't want to go anywhere.
Right. Of course, he doesn't want to go anywhere. But how many more years is LeBron James planning on playing at the level at the championship level? Right. So are you going to keep continuing to mortgage control of your organization?
You can't.
Based on you'll fail every time.
Right.
You'll fail every time.
They're clearly doing it what they want to do, not what LeBron wants them to do. And it's it's obvious.
As they should, though.
Do you think LeBron would be like Terry Stotts, Kenny Atkinson, or Darvin Ham? No. Maybe he might like Darvin Ham, but still, this would not be the list LeBron James came up with.
No.
And I agree with you. As great as LeBron is, you have to run the franchise yourself.
You got to do it.
As the front office, as the ownership.
Well, we saw what happened in Brooklyn when you let your players pick your coach.
Yeah.
Right? KD signed off. He loved, nobody even knew Steve Nash wanted to coach. But because of that relationship, Steve Nash is the coach, and they got thoroughly outcoached.
Right.
In the playoffs.
Right. They're just an undisciplined. They're almost darn near an AAU team.
Like that's not what we're doing. Right? Like you
and look, when LeBron was in his prime and could get you me, you, Rob G, and Tysher to the finals, okay. But at this point,
no. You got to build a foundation that will survive a LeBron.
Absolutely.
And that's the most important thing for the Lakers right now to do.
No doubt.